All right. Hey, Alvernia community. Our alumni spotlights are back, and I am so excited to have Lauren Spicher join us today to talk about her Alvernia experience and her business. Lauren's maiden name is Godek. So, hi, Lauren. Thank you for joining me.
Danielle, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to tell you all about this tiny home experience. It's been really incredible.
This is awesome. Okay, so before we dive into all the exciting stuff about tiny homes and how you got started with this, can you
Mhm.
start by telling me your grad year and what your degree is?
Sure. So I graduated in 2007 and I actually went for athletic training.
Awesome. And can you tell me how you were involved when you were a student on campus here at Alvernia?
Sure. So I wasn't super involved just because with athletic training, the classes and the times and things like that were really kind of limited on what I could do. But the cool thing about athletic training is I actually got to do a lot of the sports stuff with Jay Mensinger, I think his last name was, Mr. Perazzo, and missed out. So being in the athletic training field, I actually got to participate in those athletic type of events, which was really cool. So that made me stay, local and on campus for that reason.
Oh, that's awesome. So then after you got your degree in the field of athletic training, what did you do with that degree after you graduated?
So I actually moved home back to New York for about, I would say 3 months. I tried to look for an athletic training job. It really wasn't that popular back on Long Island. So I actually was a student trainer over at Wilson High School. So Kiernan, I was very close with Kiernan and Doc over there. And Kiernan had let me know that they were looking for a position over at Manheim Township in Lancaster. And she's like, you should just go for it. So I went for the interview. And actually, at that time, OAL, Orthopedic Associates of Lancaster, actually hired me to work there part time. And then they subbed me out to with Quigs at the time at Manheim Township. So I was over at Manheim Township for about, I think, a year and a half. And then I actually got a full time job over at Ephrata High School in Lancaster as the full time athletic trainer there. So I was there at Ephrata for about, I want to say it was close to 10 years, all together doing the athletic training field until I had my first little one. And that was in 2013. And I then went part time. But then with my husband having his own roofing and siding company, he was owner and operator of that. Our schedules for athletic training and then him coming home, I actually then became a stay-at-home mom full time when my second child came in 2014. Um, I loved it. I loved everything about it, and I still miss it. I'm still a stay-at-home mom now, almost coming up 11 years. So
Wow, that's awesome. Well, being a stay-at-home mom is a crazy busy job too. So
that
I
sure
applaud you
is.
for that. And it's super rewarding,
It,
honestly.
oh, it's I'm very blessed that I'm able to be able to spend the time with my kiddos. I have three boys that were basically back to back. It was crazy, it was wild, but it's totally worth it. And especially with my husband's job and trying to get him to come off his job, early for me to go into work. And I think it's super important, at least for us, is that family time sitting together at the dinner table is really, really important. So
Mhm.
that gave me the opportunity to, just stay home, and really zone in on the core values of, being home together as a family, which was nice. Because with
That's
athletic
beautiful.
athletic training, our schedules, as many athletic trainers know, are very crazy. So it's
Mhm.
we're after school hours. So we're there from, anywhere between 1 till almost 9:30 at night. It all depends on what
Yeah.
sport is going on. If you have an assistant, I didn't have an assistant. And so it was kind of it was a lot. So once my husband was like, well, let's try just doing the full-time thing, and I don't regret it at all. I do miss athletic training, but I don't regret it. I don't regret staying home.
Well, that's good. It all happened for a reason and it
Yes.
all worked out and leads me to my next question of, so now tell me about the fun adventures now that you and your husband have started doing together in terms of your business.
Sure. So I followed the tiny house movement right when it first came out. I was watching it on TV all the time. And we just thought it was such a really, really cool idea. And at that moment, we didn't think anything like us being involved in the tiny house movement, like at all. When COVID hit, we actually had purchased the year before COVID hit, we purchased a little cabin up here in Huntington County. We're about 25 minutes away from State College, which is Penn State University. We bought this cabin as our vacation home. And when COVID came, I was homeschooling the kids at that time virtually. We would come up to the cabin and stay here, do virtual here. And when the weekends came, Sunday came, we never wanted to go back to Lancaster. We just wanted to stay here. So when we purchased the cabin, I told my husband, this is the funny thing. I told my husband, I said, I'm not living here full time. This is going to be our vacation home. But as we stayed here more during COVID, we fell in love with it. And my husband was actually becoming super stressed with his roofing company. He was very successful. He was in it for 13 years. He was owner operator and only worked with 2 Amish men at the time. So he was doing everything, and his health had actually taken a decline, which was really scary at the moment, to be honest with you. With 4 small children at this time, I needed my husband. So one day I knew he wanted to live in the woods. I knew he wanted to live in the cabin. My heart had really softened. And with COVID going on, I was like, this is the perfect time for our family to make the big move. So I told him, I said, let's sell your business. Let's move to the cabin full time. And he looked at me and he said, you're crazy. He's like, are you serious? And I said, yes, this is the perfect time to do it. So let's do it. So we took that huge leap of faith. We moved here, and we kind of went back and forth, like, okay, are you going to go back into roofing like part-time or what? So at one point we did think about getting a tiny house for an investment, purchasing one and putting it on our property and doing Airbnb with it. We went into Lancaster to one of the big time tiny house companies there, and they were booked out for even a phone call just to meet with them. It was like a year out. And Brian's like, this is crazy. He's like, I can totally do this. Like, what's stopping me from doing this? I said, well, let's do it. Like, why not? You're not doing anything else right now. Let's just take that leap of faith and let's go all in. And really what happened, like kind of what gave us that push too, is my dad had just recently passed away in January before we started our business in February of last year. We're only here for a short amount of time. Why not go for your dreams? Let's just do it. So he's like, okay, let's do it. So I said, we need to stand out from the other tiny home companies though. So we built a pole barn out back that has true mortise and tenon framing, which the Amish actually put together with a wooden peg. So there's no like screws or anything like that. So I said, if we can do this with tiny houses, that's how we can stand out. It's part of our story because we actually cut down our trees ourselves here on our property, and my husband mills them, and then we use it in our tiny homes. So I was like, if we could do that, let's go for it. So we just took that step, and we went for it, and we bought 4 trailers at first. We sold those 4. And it just is continuing, but it's fun. We enjoy it a lot.
Oh my gosh. Like, if you are literally the model for like, follow your dreams and do what you love and just take that scary jump. That is such a beautiful
I feel like,
story.
to be honest with you, I have the support of that husband too, which is, it's so huge to have someone really back you up in your dreams. Just makes it even easier to take that foot forward. And it's the same thing with him. Like, partner wise, I knew he wanted to always live in a cabin in the woods, and it was just perfect timing. Like, making both of your dreams come true is just so rewarding in the end.
Wow. So you keep saying cabin in the woods. So like, how far are you from civilization or going to a store?
Well, we're about, so I am 20 minutes to a grocery store and a gas station.
Wow.
So we literally are tucked back. We have 40 acres here. Um, we are in a little town called McAlevy's Fort. We have a little mom and pop shop where we can get milk and bread and a little restaurant. But all of the major stores and things like that are either over, it's funny, we're in a little valley, so I'm either over a mountain to Belleville or over the mountain to Penn State College, like the PSU area. So
Wow. So just as my brain is going now on this, do you or have you ever thought about like farming and growing your own vegetables and
so
having
we
your own
actually
garden?
So you're right on it. We actually have our little homestead. I call it our little homestead here. We do have cattle. We have Aberdeen cows that we have for ourselves for meat. And then we have chickens. We have 2 Australian shepherds that we breed. Yes, I do. I have a full garden in the summertime. We do all the little homesteading stuff. It's pretty awesome, to be honest with you. It's funny. I'm sure if anybody knew me back in college, they would never think that this would be the person who I am today. But it's been a really amazing, fun ride, to be honest with you.
Wow. Well, between you and your husband, you guys have all the self-sustaining skills together. He can build everything and you guys have all the food resources and
And it's
everything.
actually, we really wanted, that was like part of our tiny home journey too. Like we really wanted to reach out to, and it's funny now that we're in for it 2 years, it's not just the younger generation, it's actually a older generation too, like the retirees who are looking for more of a smaller space, who don't necessarily want to go into a community, like a retirement home, and have all their money go to the retirement homes. We've actually had multiple couples come to us, and their eyes are just like open, like, man, like this could be a option as well as retiring and not having to go home, go into retiring community. Um,
Right.
but anyways, as we've been in it for 2 years now, the conversations with people and their like-mindedness of wanting to live more off the land, which is what Brian and I really wanted to teach our children, is to not be so relying on, we're still relying on grocery stores, don't get me wrong, but just being more hands-on, being outside more, providing your family with things that are available to us just right here in our backyard. So that we really wanted to, incorporate that into tiny housing too. We do have plans in the future to, I don't know if I'm going to be jumping ahead, but to starting a community here in this area or close to this area where people can have that communal, gardening and sharing of, vegetables. A lot of people are looking now, especially after COVID, are looking for that community sense again and that independence of, I can do this here, which has been really, really cool to hear others thinking that as well has been really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go back a step.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
for people who don't know or understand what a tiny home is, can you
Sure.
just kind of briefly describe like what it
Yeah.
looks like, what it is?
So a tiny home is anywhere from like 300 square feet to about, our biggest that we are doing right now is a 10 by 40. So like 400-ish, a little over 400. A tiny home, we right now are doing tiny homes on wheels. So you have a trailer. So you're able to move your tiny home then, which is great. So it gives the person the flexibility of, hey, I have this piece of property and I want to live here for about 5-10 years, but something else comes or they want to go somewhere else. Having it on the trailer, they're able then to move it, which is nice. So tiny homes, when people think tiny homes, they think of it being on a trailer, so that it's a mobile home. It's a mobile home, but not like your RV homes. It's
Right.
not something that you want to trail, going camping all the time. It's something that is able to be movable, when you have to come and move it.
Okay. All right. So how do these work? So if I'm somebody who wants a tiny home and I go to you, what does the process look like?
Yeah. So you contact us or you contact any tiny home community, company. Um, we'll walk you through the process. So basically, the main thing when you are interested, I always tell our customers is don't get excited too fast. There's homework that you need to do before you want to jump in and purchase a tiny home. You have to um, look in the town or the county that you're in and figure out what rules and regulations that they have for a tiny home. Now, not every it's becoming more popular now, so a lot of places are starting to change their regulations when it comes to a tiny home. A lot of people can actually get them certified as RVs, which is great. Um, but then there's still some RV regulations too in different places. So once you have all that information in place, then we walk you through every step. So um, making sure that you have the right zoning and everything like that for this tiny home. Um, then it's like building a big house, but in a lot smaller scale. Yeah, so that's how it goes.
And I do have to say they do look pretty amazing. So, Tiny Timbers does
Mhm.
have a Instagram page that you guys
Correct.
can view videos and
Right.
photos of
Yes.
all of these tiny homes that you guys are building and what they look like. Because I have to say, I was blown away when I saw what they look like. They're
Thank
so
you.
cool.
They
So
are. So
cool.
we have one on our property and we Airbnb it out. And every time I'm out there cleaning, I never want to leave. I'm like, I just want to stay in here.
There you go. So if any of you want to see what a tiny home is like or you want to try it out, you can
Right.
Airbnb.
Come stay with us. No, but it's also a great that is not tiny homes for people who not necessarily want to live in one, but it is also a great investment for people
Mm.
too. So purchasing one, we've had people who have purchased and are now renting them out Airbnb wise for an investment. Which is also a great opportunity for others too. If they don't necessarily want to live, but they want to, have another instead of buying a rental property, an apartment or tiny home, not tiny home, you know what I mean,
I
a townhouse or something to rent out. They
know.
can now try. Tiny houses are, and it's a big fad right now. It's a big
Yeah.
movement. I don't want to say fad because fads come and go. I truly believe that tiny houses are going to continue to stay in one direction, and that's going to continue moving forward. Just because they're affordable.
So then what is the market like for these? Do you guys have like a starting price point and it
We
depends on
do, yeah,
add-ons or how
yeah.
big they are?
So tiny houses, it all depends. I always tell people it depends on how fancy you want them. You
Mm.
can be very minimal if you want to, or you can go up and be very, classy and, have all the bells and everything. So our price range is anywhere from, and before I give price ranges, it all depends. Like you can get a tiny house that is just a frame and say, hey, I want to do everything in the inside. Let's do the trailer and you guys do the framing and we'll take care
Mm.
of the inside. So that's less, that will be a less purchase, from us. So really it's anywhere from about 30,000, that's on the lower end, up to, I mean, if you want to do, all the bells, it's about 110 or more. So depending on your size that you go and how much you want done inside, the prices then will go up. So
Okay. So on average, when someone comes to you wanting a tiny home, is it singles? Is it, a couple? Do they have kids?
yeah, so we actually have had a variety of everybody. I've had single students who have just graduated, that are like their minds are going like, oh, this is a great opportunity. And one of the reasons why I wanted to put that tiny house on our property is for people to come experience it get their minds going and being like, hey, this can be a more affordable, option for me than going into complete debt. So it's a variety. It's single, it's families. We did have a family with 4 kids. Um,
Wow.
we're actually building a 10 by 40 right now. That's for our family. Um, and it's a lot of retirees, to be honest with you. I want to say we're probably seeing more 50 plus who have been like the ones that have been coming mostly to us.
Well, that would make sense because they want
Yeah,
to simplify and be
yeah,
minimalistic in what they have.
exactly.
Plus, it's cheaper than going into a
Right.
retirement community.
Exactly. It really is. And your money's going into your investment and not
Mhm.
going into a retirement community and paying all those where your money's going into another, which is, that's also something, you want to kind of think of too.
Yeah, I would say this is also great for younger people who are like, I don't know what I want to do, or they have work from home jobs
Mhm.
and they're like, I want to travel and see the
Right.
US,
Right.
they could spend a year
Right.
here, a year there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's really the options are just I think are really great for all ages, to be honest with you.
wow, that's awesome. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
So, obviously, in starting any business, there is something that is scary about it. So, like, what was the scariest or hardest part in starting this company?
Just the unknown of, will this be successful? Is this just a fad? Like, will this really continue? Um, and also for my husband's side is learning like how to do
Mm.
plumbing tiny wise, working with a trailer. He's done framing and roofing and all of that stuff before, but he had to learn new trades, and new ways to incorporate, all the different plumbing that goes into a tiny house. So just those would kind of like be what is kind of like, do I really want to do this kind of type of thing? I would say is the frightening. And of course, are we going to get clients? Is it really truly going to be successful? But I think if you truly put your heart into something and give it 100%, and this is just in any job. I mean, it can be as simple as a hostessing job. If you
Mhm.
put your 100% effort into it and your love for it, you're going to succeed. So you're taking a risk either in a small sense of, work or a business, even into the bigger risks of a business. So does that make sense? I
Yeah,
mean, I feel like
absolutely.
it's just if you really truly and you really gotta truly believe in yourself. I think your mindset is just as important as knowing everything else. If your mindset is there, your heart is there, and you just step forward and take those risks, it'll all truly work. It'll all come together.
Yeah, that was so like perfectly said,
Oh,
really. I could
it's
just see you talking about it, just how much it means to you and how passionate you are about it.
yeah, it's been fun. Like that's like I probably would say one of the biggest things about this job with my husband and I doing it. And we're doing this together. Like we're not
Mhm.
doing separate jobs anymore. I have to give him a lot of credit. He's the man behind the scenes. He does all of it basically, but I'm behind the scenes when it comes to, um interior design and marketing and running the Airbnb, getting together with our clients, talking with them, showing the houses and things like that. But when you have your partner and you're doing it together, it's so rewarding. It really it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's so cool. So actually, out of curiosity, how long, so let's say I wanted a tiny home and I wanted you guys to do the entire inside and everything.
So
Just on
yeah.
average, how long would it take to complete it?
So start to finish, depending on how busy Brian is usually about 3 to 4 months from start to finish. So the
Wow, that's really
turnaround
quick.
now, we aren't a massive company like the one company that we were in Lancaster. They were year out. I mean, they were just slammed. And that's what Brian and I also said to each other. Like when we started this business, we said we don't want to be like that. We don't want to compete with others. We're not looking to become rich quick or anything like that. Our hearts were more of like sharing this with others, and really their tiny house is a story. Like their tiny house came from a piece of property here that we cut down ourselves, that we milled. It's just so I say our tiny homes have more of a story, and we are very one-on-one with our customers. Other bigger companies, you don't get, I don't want to say you don't get, because I'm sure they do to some degree, but we being smaller, we can really like, come around with the customers and really like have them involved with almost each process, if that makes any sense. Like, so yeah, so getting rich quick isn't going to happen for us. So yeah, so usually it's about 3 to 4 months start to finish. um I would say we were mostly around like that 4-month mark, depending on how many we have, going in order. And if he does have multiples, he does work at two at once, um, which is really cool too. So yeah, so about three
Wow.
to 4 months, which is so much shorter than a complete home custom build.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I was not expecting that. I was expecting like maybe a year. So that's wild.
Now the demand for tiny houses are going up, so it also depends on how quickly we can get our trailers in. So we work with a trailer manufacturer who specifically works with tiny home trailers. It's not just like a regular trailer. Um, so it also depends on how backed up he is and how quickly we can get our trailers. So
Okay.
there's
So
always an up and down of time frame.
sure, sure. So obviously you've mentioned a lot of super exciting things, but can you pinpoint like one thing that's been the most exciting about this adventure you've taken?
Um, I'm a people person, so meeting people um, is probably one of my most exciting things about this business. And seeing, once you meet the people and you see their reaction and how excited they get about possibly or even going tiny, is really exciting. Not a lot of people do know about the movement, but when you actually come and see it and you're in one, and then you get talking to the people and what the possibilities are, financially free, financial freedom, minimal stuff, which a lot of people, seeing their excitement, I want to say, is probably one of the most exciting things for me, just because I'm a people person and I can sit here and talk your ear off the whole time. But to seeing their excitement, and then once they actually purchase and get the tiny home, and then just seeing, them living in it, is just, it's exciting.
That's awesome. I love that. So you kind of talked in the beginning a little bit. Tell me more about what your vision is for the future of tiny
Yeah.
homes.
So tiny homes. So our future, where I see us going, and I always say the near future because I never want to say too far out in the future. You gotta make those goals, within a year or two.
Mhm.
Um, is to start a tiny house community. One of the issues people run into with tiny houses is they'll want to get the tiny house, but then they have no place to put it, because of the area that they're in. They don't allow it. So I see us in the near future is getting a piece of property around here and starting a tiny house community around here. That's where I see us going more than, we'll still do custom builds for people, but I see us running, a community home here in this area, and then possibly kind of making that trend here on the East Coast.
So people would kind of like already buy ones that are in
So
your
you,
community
so
already
you
built.
would buy your tiny house community and then buy a lot basically. So you would have a lot. You put or people who have tiny houses already, who want to come and put their tiny house on our lot. So there'll be options, and I also see it being not just long-term residents being there. I also see it being for like Airbnb options, short-term rentals, and I have a heart for kind of as like a missions type of thing where pastors and their wives can come and vacation there, because a lot of them don't make a lot of money, and vacationing for them to get away is kind of limited. So I feel like it's I want it to be an area where people could come in and relax and not, you know, cost a fortune too. So there's like a little bit of a mission side there that I really want to incorporate into the community as well.
That is such a cool idea. Like what could that would be an amazing community because a lot of those people would be like-minded and
Mhm.
minimalistic and the same type of
Right,
home and,
right.
finances and stuff.
Yeah. There's just so much potential, I think, with the community. With the shared gardening and learning from each other. I think like the whole community sense of like sharing things too with others. And then having that like-mindedness, like you said, of just being very minimal and, yeah, I'm hoping within the next 2 years we'll have something up and running.
That almost sounds like it could be a utopia.
Yeah, right?
Um, so if you could give one piece of advice to current students, what would that be? Current students that are at Alvernia now.
Yeah, I would say if you have a dream, I kind of said this before, go for it. There's risks in everything that you do in life. If you have that dream, have that mindset of I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be able to do it, and just take that leap of faith. Honestly, like we took a huge leap of faith, and we have a family of 4 to support, which is scary. But everything in life can be scary if you don't believe in yourself or have others around you to believe in you. If you don't take that step, how would you know if you were going to be successful or not? So don't say you can't, because how do you know if you can't if you actually haven't tried? So just putting that foot forward, believing in yourself, have that mindset, get a community or friends around you to continue to support you and, give you that confidence to take that step forward. I Yeah, encourage you to just go for it.
That's amazing. I think your next career could be motivational speaker.
I don't know if I could go that far. This is a step for me.
Well, I love it. That was just, again, so beautifully said. That's
Oh,
amazing.
thank
Your
you.
passion for this is just so evident and it comes through so clearly. And I love that. I love what you've
Yeah.
done for your family.
Oh,
It's so beautiful how you guys are together and what you're teaching your kids now. Are your
yeah.
kids
And
still
it's
homeschooled?
no, so they're not
Okay.
homeschooled anymore. They go to a little community charter school here in the area. It's just 7 minutes. That's the nice thing. It's only 7 minutes away from my house, which is great. But my oldest son he's not, he struggles in school, my oldest one, and he is a outdoorsman, and he has flourished here since we've moved back in Lancaster. He would not have been able to do the things that he does here. And it's just been really amazing to see him and my other ones too. They love it. Even my little girl, she loves it. Um, to see them, going out on their own now, going fishing, and then when they come back with a big trout, like it's just so rewarding in that way. So yeah, yeah, it's been awesome. I would encourage anyone if you have that dream to live off the land to go for it.
Yeah. So does your eldest son help dad with building the tiny homes?
So they're in school for the most part, but the cutest thing is he keeps saying he wants dad and him to build him a tiny house so he can move to Alaska and he could just go fishing and hunting the rest of his life. It's
Oh my
cute.
God.
But it's really cool to see, to be honest with you. Like my kids have seen like, okay, this is an opportunity for us too. Like, or I can work alongside dad as I get older, which is really neat as well. So their minds are, spinning too. And to be honest with you, like we have a cabin, but once the kids move out, I wouldn't say that we couldn't live in a tiny house if with the family. We totally could. But once the kids move out, there's no need for all this space. To be honest with you, like Brian or I, like we can't wait. Like let's start planning our own tiny house for when we reach when the kids are out of the house. Yeah, it's just and just having the family, a family business is you can pass it down to the next generation too if they're interested as well. So we hope that that can be the future, but I think it will be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So just to kind of wrap this up, just to let everyone know, Tiny Timbers does have an Instagram page, so you can check out all their videos and pictures
Yep.
of what these tiny homes look like. And it
Correct.
is Tiny Timbers _ PA.
Yep, and
I
that's
will
Instagram.
also, yep, I will also link it on our social pages as well as our alumni newsletter.
Sounds
And
good.
they also have a website,
Mhm.
www.rustictinyhome.com. Again, that will
Correct.
also be linked so you can check out all the fun stuff that they're doing.
I hope you guys do check it out. I hope to see someone from Alvernia up here.
Yeah, or rent the Airbnb and see what the tiny home is like.
Or get tiny houses on campuses.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Affordable living.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for your time. I
Yes.
so appreciate it. And this was
Thank you
really
for having
wonderful.
us. Yes,
Yeah.
it was nice
Well,
meeting
thank you,
you.
everyone. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
See you.